So you want to buy a house in 2022, right? This video is for you. I'm going to give you some insider tips that you need to be doing right now if you want to buy a house this year. There's a ton of moving parts and pitfalls that are costly. So what's the most important thing that you need to be doing right now? I mean, like right now, in order to actually buy a home in 2022. Now, I know that you're probably thinking, oh, I'm just going to spout off some stuff that you've already heard before, right? But things that people say like pay off your credit cards or save up for a down payment or boost your credit score or get a second job or increase your income or search the MLS for the perfect home or sell your house first. Nope, none of that. None of that at all. What you should be doing right now, the number one thing that you need to be doing right now is get a plan from a professional. So if you watch this video all the way through, you're going to learn exact steps in order to make this happen in 2022. Now, a plan that's validated from a professional doesn't cost anything, and it can be the wisest course of action to deal with every single scenario and every situation. Now, many people say, hey, Jerry, I didn't want to bother you because I know that I'm going to be buying in a year, or I hear that I'm getting my credit together, or I'm saving up, or I'm retiring in 2 years. I hear you. The truth is, the sooner you can prepare yourself financially and mentally to buy a house, the better off that you're going to be. But I've also heard that people say, I didn't want to bother you before, but I'm really ready now, and let's go look at properties. Then I look at everything and I realize, oh my gosh, you're really not ready. But I really wish you would have called me 6 months ago, because you need to do these steps in this order for it to happen. You know, many people think, I don't want to waste your time, but it's not a waste of time. It's actually called putting a plan together. So as an example, in your head, you could be thinking about looking at properties on the MLS or in Zillow in order to find your next home. Yet at the same time, you miss out on all the opportunities to see affordable properties from our off-market list. So these are properties that aren't on the MLS, but if you're still looking online, you won't see them. Or how about learning about the 5 other communities that offer better prices and better styles of homes? You know, people are putting these misconceptions, ideas, and plans together for what they think is logical, but might be 180 degrees in the wrong direction. What we have found is, after talking on the phone for about 10 minutes, maybe what you're thinking may not be your best options or your right path. So my real estate team talks to so many people, and we absolutely love it. This is what we do every day, and we're good at it. But there are so many moving parts and so many pitfalls to avoid that are costly. So I'm sharing the many scenarios and stories with you here in this video, okay? If you're okay with that, give me a thumbs up. And I see this a lot, and many people are moving out of state. They're moving from one state to the other right now. So I don't want you to make this mistake. We had a client who was moving from New York to Myrtle Beach, and his plan was to sell his house in New York at a profit and put down 50%, about that, and finance the rest. So I told him to take a step back before he puts his house on the market, because what many people don't realize is, before you quit your job and you move, you may want to finance and close on that second home before you quit your job and you move out of state, because lenders are going to want to see your income and your time on the job. So if you just moved and you don't have time on the job, or you're not continuing to work remotely from home, or your job transfer didn't line up, or these are the things that are going to blow up a deal. So in this case, thankfully, we did talk quickly enough and prevent a major catastrophe, because can you imagine selling your home, packing a moving truck, getting into a new town to look at properties, only to find out you can't get financed? Ugh. So I gave him the 5 steps and the different sequence that he needed to follow in order before he filled out that application. And of course, he was super grateful that all this stuff that he didn't know, it can kill you, The information on the internet is just not a one-size-fits-all. The internet is a good tool. It's a good place to start, but it's not going to answer all the questions. And everyone has different wants, different needs, and different circumstances. But the number one thing that you can do right now is to get a plan. Why? I see many people taking unnecessary steps, and sometimes they even hurt themselves in that process. And what I do see consistently is people trying to structure their home buying process like it's the Amazon Buy Now button. Just press and go. Here's another example of when it comes to financing a first-time home buyer, a second home, an investment property, a beach condo, retirement home, or even your primary residence. The financing and requirements for each one of those is completely different from one another. So we help home buyers avoid these pitfalls, and it's what we do all day long. But take a look at these different scenarios that you can learn from. So let's say that you want to buy an oceanfront condo, all right? You go to the big box online lender, and your computer spits back the letter that you're approved for a condo purchase. Great. The only misconception is, with that idea, 3 days before you close on that deal, you may not know that many resort condos are classified as condotels, which is a completely different overlay. You may find out about this overlay only when it becomes the big issue right before closing. So working with a professional that does this every single day can give you the shortcuts that are lifesavers. You know, the second home condotel rule is also true if you're trying to get a mortgage from the bank that you regularly deal with. Yes, banks will tell you, they'll loan you on condos, but the fact is that not every national bank will close. As a matter of fact, none of them will close on a condotel because of the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. But knowledge is power. This is not your primary residence, and knowing which particular lenders will actually lend and which bank has the best options to help you is going to help you avoid many frustrations. So how about a first-time home buyer? How about this scenario? There's many first-time home buyer programs where you can put down 3%, and there's even some programs where you can put down 0 in 2022, as long as you meet some special requirements. But the one thing that you may want to keep in mind is whether your credit score is a 520 or a 720, is there's always room to boost up your score. The higher your credit score, the better your interest rate you're going to get. And with mortgage rates going up, it's a great way to combat and snagging the best rate available. But knowing which sequence you should follow in order to boost your credit score before you start to view properties can give you the best rates possible. So if you watch your debt to income ratio, and that's what lenders are going to look for, comparing your monthly debt payments and compare that to your monthly income, you may have debts that in your income, but yeah, your credit score can get you approved, but there's no room for that extra house payment. So you got to understand these things. Success will not come from crossing your fingers and skipping through the day. It's just hoping then that way. But prospering and wealth comes from a well laid out plan. If you're already a homeowner, for instance, so you're ready to sell, you're ready to cash in on all that equity you have, you already know that your home's going to sell quickly, right? But you worry about what your next home is going to look like and what home you're going to be buying, right? So if you take a look at one of our clients, we knew he had a lot of equity in his home, and Mike wanted to cash in on all that money. And I touched on this before, but Mike and his wife found out their new dream home came from an off-market list. There's a huge list of properties for sale right now in your own backyard that you may not know about and are not on the open market. But Mike was shocked to see how many homes he had to choose from the off-market list. So booking the appointment to get a plan from a professional is the number one thing that you should be doing. So because Mike's wife was super excited because she got the kitchen she was always wanted, she got the private fenced-in backyard for his dog, Mike did, to run around, and it's what they've always wanted, but with a large down payment from their current home that Mike sold, Mike's new mortgage payment was less than their last payment. But booking an appointment and getting a plan can solve many problems before they even occur. Now, you've always heard that saying is cash is king, right? But if you're paying cash and you're not sure of all of it, and you don't have it all in account, or it's not all somewhere, you have to actually show it in a statement when you make it a purchase to a seller. You can't just show part of it. You have to be ready. So as an example, Curtis is selling a house and he's going to receive the cash from the sale, but it wasn't enough to cover the full purchase cost for his next home and pay it in full. So he needed to show where all his money is coming from for the purchase. And if he didn't do that, the deal is going to blow up. So if you're making a cash offer, you need to do A, find more cash from somewhere else, B, have loans set up prior to striking a deal, or C, the weaker version would be, is to make it contingent on the sale of your property. But making sure your plan doesn't blow up is very important. Also, you may need to save money for a down payment. So let's take the plan of a commitment to save money. Saving money can come in many forms. A bonus from your job, don't spend it, save it. If you're living frugally and you want to buy a house in 22, put a little aside in each paycheck into savings accounts so that when the time comes, you'll actually be ready. But it's not just for the down payment. You're going to need enough in savings and closing costs and maybe cover an appraisal gap or furniture or blinds or moving truck costs or even extra reserves. Now, this part is very important, so I want you to listen. So if you've already been pre-approved for a mortgage and you have a house that's under contract, you never want to buy anything on credit for the house. And I'm going to say it again. Wait to purchase anything before you close. Why? Because even if it's the sofa of your dreams and it's 1 year interest free, or your car blew up and you need to buy a new car, even though you can get finance for these purchases, this could throw off your debt to income ratio and just by a hair even, and it's maybe just enough to cancel your approval for that new home. And I've seen it many times, so I want you to avoid that. The mortgage company will pull your credit again at the end just before closing, and something is on there that wasn't on there before when you got approved. Wah, wah, wah. Guess what's going to happen? Now, there's a ton of moving parts and pitfalls that are costly. If you're finding any of this helpful, please comment below. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know. I really want to know what's happening in your world. The point that I'm making here is that this video is barely touching the surface, and there are so many things. And this is why we need to talk with a professional before, and so you can get your plan together. So if you want to buy a house in 2022, just book some time. Sometimes there are things that must happen before you move, like fixing a house up to sell. You may need to know what repairs will give you the best return on your money, or what repairs you just need to leave alone. This is what we do every single day. Or if you get your credit up to a certain level, stash away your down payment or your amount in savings. These are the numbers that we work with every day. Or if you are retiring, these all can be moving targets. And once you hit that milestone, what happens next? It's all very important depending upon your sequence. This is the stuff you don't know that can hurt you, and this is what we do every day, so we want your plan to go smoothly and happily. Oh boy, I got another one here. So there aren't any exact rules to this one, but a big blunder that we see every day is the information that's coming from people who are trying to be helpful, and they may not be in the real estate world, and they may not know the full buying process of what's going on in the background, or even what we are going to be going through. And sometimes this information can be hurtful or even take you off course. So be careful. Just a word of advice. Even if it's well-meaning friends and family, it can be the wrong advice. So if you thought a lot about buying or selling a home, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. If you're looking here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or beyond, I've got a network of agents that I can hook you up with. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home anywhere in the United Nation, just give us a call. So wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a good day, because if you want to buy a house in 2022, the number one thing that you need to be doing right now is to get your local expert and get together and have a plan. If you're not buying for 3 years, set some time up. Let's chat, because you have questions, we have answers. It's the little things that you have not thought about yet that you really do need to know, and it's worth it. And I say this because I talk to so many people and we see the mistakes that could have been avoided. Some of these things, we see deals that were in the MLS, and honestly, many mistakes that could have been avoided with the proper plan. So wherever you are, again, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a fantastic day. And we will see you in the next episode. Take care, guys.